My child, I need you to stop what you are doing and listen carefully. This message is not an accident. You may have clicked on this video thinking it was just another message, but I tell you now, there is a reason your eyes are here at this exact moment. Because your heart has been carrying something heavy. You have smiled in front of people while silently breaking inside. You have tried to stay strong while secretly asking, God, why does it hurt this much? And today, I have come to speak directly to that pain. Before we go further, take a moment and write in the comments, God never left me. Type those words with faith, because what I am about to tell you may change the way you see your situation forever. My child, I know what they did. I saw the moment they walked away. I saw the tears you wiped when nobody was watching. I heard the conversations you never repeated to anyone. And I know how deeply rejection wounded your heart. Some people left suddenly, some left slowly, some promised forever but disappeared when life became difficult. And what hurt the most was not only that they left, it was that you trusted them. You gave your loyalty, you gave your kindness, you gave your time, you prayed for them, you stood beside them. And when you needed support, silence answered you. You keep asking, why did this happen? But I want you to hear me clearly, clearless. Do not confuse human departure with divine abandonment. They left, but I never did. I was there in the room where you cried. I was there when your phone stayed silent. I was there when disappointment crushed your expectations. And even when you felt alone, you were never abandoned. Many of my children believe loneliness means absence. But loneliness and abandonment are not the same. You felt lonely, but you were not forsaken. You felt forgotten, but heaven still knew your name. You felt discarded, but I was still holding your future. Listen carefully. Sometimes I allow separation because I see what you cannot. You cried over people I was protecting you from. You begged me to restore connections that were slowly destroying your peace. And because my love sees farther than your emotions, I removed what you were trying to keep. I know this truth is difficult to accept. Because pain makes you romanticize what was never healthy. You remember the good moments and forget the sleepless nights. You remember their promises and ignore their patterns. You remember who they used to be and overlook who they became. But I see the full picture. And I tell you today, some departures were not punishments, they were protection. Before we continue, if this message is speaking to your spirit, like this video and subscribe to this channel, because these messages are reaching the people who need them most. My child, you have spent too much time blaming yourself. You replay conversations. You wonder if you said the wrong thing. You question your worth. You ask, was I not enough? And I need to answer that question today. No, you were never the problem simply because someone failed to value you. Their inability to recognize your worth does not reduce the value I placed inside you. A diamond remains valuable even when ignored. And so do you. Stop measuring your identity through people who could not see what I created. You are not disposable. You are not forgotten. You are not unloved. You are mine. There are wounds inside you that nobody knows about. You learned to hide them. You learned to laugh while hurting. You learned to say, I'm okay, while carrying storms in your soul. But I know the nights you questioned your purpose. I know the fear you carry about the future. I know the exhaustion of always being strong. And today I say, you do not have to carry this burden alone anymore. Because I never asked you to survive without me. My child, some people only stayed while you were useful to them. Some loved your help, but not your heart. Some enjoyed your loyalty, but never intended to protect yours. And when their season ended, they left. That departure shattered something inside you. Not only trust, hope. You became careful, guarded, suspicious, afraid of disappointment, afraid to believe again. But do not let temporary pain turn your heart into permanent fear, because not everyone who enters your future will carry the same spirit as those who wounded you. I am still writing your story. And your story is not ending in betrayal. You have cried enough over closed doors. You have mourned enough over people who already walked away emotionally long before they left physically. Now I need you to release what I already released. You cannot receive with clenched hands. You cannot embrace your next season while gripping your old pain. And I know letting go is hard, especially when you invested your heart. But healing begins where surrender starts. My child, you keep asking why I allowed this. And today I will tell you something that may surprise you. Not everyone who leaves your life is an enemy. Some were simply seasonal. They were part of one chapter, not the whole book. You expected permanence where I only intended process. And when the season changed, their assignment ended. That does not mean your love was wasted. It means their role was completed. I use seasons to shape my children, and though endings hurt, they often prepare you for beginnings you cannot yet imagine. There are blessings ahead that cannot fit into the life you were trying to preserve. There are doors waiting that require freedom from old attachments. There are people I am preparing who will not drain your spirit or manipulate your kindness. But first, I must heal what was injured, because wounded hearts often reject healthy love, and I refuse to let your pain sabotage your future. So bring me the disappointment, bring me the confusion, bring me the grief you buried beneath strength. I can handle your tears, I can handle your questions. You do not scare me with your honesty. I already know what is inside your heart, and still, I stay. That is what I need you to understand today. People may leave when life becomes uncomfortable. People may disappear when they no longer benefit. People may fail you. But my love is not temporary. My presence is not conditional. I do not abandon my children when they struggle. I do not walk away when they break. I remain. And perhaps this is why you survived what should have destroyed you. You thought it was luck. You thought it was coincidence. No, it was me. The reason you are still standing is because my hand carried you when your strength disappeared. And yes, there were moments you almost gave up. Moments when discouragement whispered lies. Moments when you wondered if anything would ever change. But look at you. You are still here, still breathing, still searching, still hoping. And that alone proves my hand has never left your life. My child, do not build an altar to rejection. Do not worship the memory of people who could not stay, because your future deserves more attention than your wounds. I know healing takes time. I know trust rebuilds slowly, but I also know what I placed inside you. And I tell you now, no dolyu nikasum nikanmos, you are stronger than this heartbreak. You are wiser than this betrayal, and you are not defined by who walked away. Your identity was never created by human approval, it was created by me, and when I call you chosen, no rejection can cancel that. When I call you loved, no abandonment can erase that. When I call you mine, no departure can change that. So lift your head, the story is not over. I am still moving, I am still opening doors, I am still making a way. And what feels like loss today may become the testimony that strengthens you tomorrow. If you believe God is speaking to you, write in the comments, I am never alone. and share this message with someone who needs hope today, because there are people silently hurting who need this reminder. My child, the chapter of chasing people is ending. The chapter of begging for acceptance is ending. The chapter of exhausting yourself to keep relationships alive is ending. And a new season is beginning. A season where you no longer abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. A season where peace matters more than performance. A season where my presence becomes your security. Because when you truly understand that I am with you, fear begins to lose its power. And today, I am reminding you once more. They left. But I never will. My child, I know there are moments when these words sound beautiful, but your heart still asks God, if you are with me, why do I still hurt? And I will answer you. Because healing is a journey, not a switch. You expected the pain to disappear overnight. You expected one prayer to erase years of disappointment. But deep wounds are not healed by pretending they never existed. They are healed when you allow me to enter the places you tried to hide. You have carried silent grief for too long. You told yourself to move on. You told yourself to be stronger. You buried emotions beneath responsibilities and survival. But buried pain does not disappear. It waits, and sometimes it speaks through your anxiety. Sometimes it speaks through overthinking. Sometimes it speaks through fear of being hurt again. And sometimes it speaks through the walls you built around your heart. But today, I am calling you out of emotional hiding. You do not have to pretend with me. You do not have to perform strength in my presence. I already know where you hurt. I know the names connected to your tears. I know the memories that still visit your mind. I know the questions you are afraid to ask. And I am not disappointed in your struggle. I am inviting you closer through it. Because intimacy with me is often born in places of brokenness. The world taught you to hide weakness. But I teach surrender. The world says, handle it alone. But I say, bring it to me. The world tells you not to cry. But I collect tears the world ignores. My child, there are some of you listening to this message who became experts at appearing fine. You learned how to function while hurting. You learned how to work while grieving. You learned how to encourage others while secretly feeling empty yourself. And people look at you and assume you are strong. But what they do not know is how tired your soul has become. You are exhausted from carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry. You keep replaying what happened. You keep asking yourself what could have been different. And I ask you lovingly, how much longer will you imprison yourself in yesterday? How much longer will you imprison yourself in yesterday? The past cannot be rewritten, but your future can still be redeemed. And I am a God who redeems. I redeem wasted years. I redeem broken stories. I redeem painful endings. I redeem the things you thought permanently damaged. You believe your heart has become too wounded. But I specialize in restoration. Nothing is too shattered for my hands. Nothing is too complicated for my wisdom. Nothing is too broken for my love. My child, some of you lost more than people. You lost confidence. You lost motivation. You lost excitement. You lost trust in your own judgment. Because betrayal does something painful. It makes you question yourself. You begin wondering if your heart can be trusted. You become afraid of your own hope. You fear making the same mistake again, and so you protect yourself by expecting disappointment before it arrives. You call it wisdom. But sometimes it is wounded fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Listen carefully. Discernment is healthy. Fear is not. I never called you to live suspicious of everyone and terrified of connection. I called you to walk wisely, not fearfully. And yes, wisdom matters, boundaries matter, discernment matters, but fear should not become your permanent residence. Because fear convinces you that pain will repeat forever. Fear tells you nothing good is coming. Fear whispers that abandonment is your destiny. But fear is not your prophet. I am, and what I speak over your life carries more authority than what fear predicts. My child, there were nights when you wondered if anybody truly understood your pain. There were moments when loneliness sat beside you like a shadow. You looked around and felt emotionally invisible, and perhaps you never told anyone how deep the struggle became. Because you feared judgment, you feared misunderstanding, you feared being called dramatic or weak. So you suffered quietly. But I need you to hear me. Silence may hide pain from people, but it never hides pain from me. I was with you. I watched you battle thoughts you could not explain. I watched you fight discouragement. I watched you resist despair. And even when you felt spiritually weak, I remained near. You thought distance existed between us. But often, what you called distance was exhaustion. You were tired. Emotionally tired. Mentally tired. Spiritually tired. And tired hearts sometimes mistake weakness for separation. But weakness does not repel me. It draws me closer. I do not only stand beside victorious people, I stand beside weary people too. My child, there is something I must tell you. You cannot heal while continually reopening the wound. You cannot move forward while secretly feeding what hurts you. And some of you are still attached to what wounded you. You revisit old conversations. You search for signs. You hold on to false hope. You keep looking behind you while praying for me to lead you forward. But healing and attachment cannot grow in the same soil. I say this with love. Stop chasing what I am asking you to release. Stop negotiating with closed doors. Stop begging for clarity from people who already chose distance. Their silence became an answer you did not want to accept. And I know acceptance hurts, but denial prolongs suffering. My child, I am not trying to punish you by removing certain people. I am teaching you something deeper. I am teaching you where your identity belongs, because when identity becomes dependent on human loyalty, heartbreak becomes devastating. But when identity is rooted in me, loss no longer destroys you. You begin understanding something powerful. People are blessings, but they are not your foundation. I am. And foundations matter. Storms reveal foundations. Disappointment reveals foundations. Loss reveals foundations. And perhaps this season exposed places where your heart leaned too heavily upon human certainty. Do not feel condemned. Feel awakened. Because revelation is mercy. And now you are learning to build differently. You are learning to place me first. You are learning that peace cannot depend on who stays or leaves. You are learning that emotional security born from my presence cannot be stolen by human decisions. That lesson is painful, but it is precious. My child, you have spent too much time grieving people who never grieved losing you. And that truth hurts, but I say it to free you. Stop reducing your worth to somebody else's inconsistency. Stop treating rejection as proof of inadequacy. People leave for many reasons, sometimes because they are confused, sometimes because they are immature, sometimes because their season ended, and sometimes because they could not handle the light growing inside you. Not everyone celebrates transformation. Not everyone understands purpose. Some people prefer the version of you that required less growth, the version that stayed quiet, the version that accepted less, the version that remained small enough to control. But growth changes relationships, healing changes relationships, purpose changes relationships. And sometimes when you begin valuing yourself through my eyes, people uncomfortable with that change quietly step away. Do not chase those departures. Bless them, release them, and continue walking. My child, there is another wound inside you, a wound you rarely discuss, the fear of being left again. You tell yourself you are over it. But deep inside, you still expect loss. You prepare for disappointment before joy even arrives. You struggle to relax in peace because you fear peace is temporary, and so your heart stays guarded. Always watching, always anticipating pain. But hear me carefully. You cannot fully enjoy today's blessing while living terrified of tomorrow's loss. Fear steals experiences before they happen. Fear sabotages trust before betrayal exists. Fear convinces you to emotionally withdraw from gifts I am trying to place in your life, and I do not want fear governing your future. That is why I am healing you now. Not only from what happened, but from what it taught you to fear, because wounds often become teachers. But not every lesson pain teaches is truth. Pain taught you to expect abandonment. Pain taught you to distrust joy. Pain taught you to assume people will leave. But I teach differently. I teach hope, I teach wisdom, I teach courage, and I teach that healing does not mean pretending scars never existed. Healing means scars no longer control your identity. My child, I know you miss certain people, and I am not asking you to deny that. Love leaves memories. Connection leaves impressions. Missing someone does not make you weak. It makes you human. But missing them does not mean they belong in your future. And this is where many of my children struggle. They confuse longing with assignment. They confuse familiarity with destiny. And because something feels familiar, they assume it must return. But not everything familiar is meant to be restored. Some things are meant to be remembered, learned from, and released. Trust my wisdom. Because I see beyond emotion. I see what would happen if certain doors reopened. I see the cycles. I see the patterns. I see the pain you are forgetting. And I refuse to hand you back to what almost broke you. My child, you keep asking, what now? And my answer is simple. Now you heal. Now you rest. Now you rediscover who you are beyond disappointment. Now you stop defining yourself by who stayed and who left. Now you learn to hear my voice louder than your fear. And yes, there will be rebuilding. There will be restoration. There will be new joy. Do not believe the lie that your best emotional days are behind you. Do not believe the lie that trust can never exist again. Do not believe the lie that this pain is permanent. You are in a chapter, not the conclusion. And chapters change. Seasons shift, storms pass. Morning still comes after dark nights, and I am already moving in ways you cannot yet see. So breathe, my child. You are not forgotten. You are not behind, you are not ruined, and you are certainly not abandoned. The enemy wanted heartbreak to convince you that you are unwanted. But I am turning this season into revelation. You will discover strength you did not know you possessed. You will discover peace that does not depend on circumstances. And you will discover me in ways comfort never taught you. Before we continue, if this message is speaking directly to your spirit, take a moment and write in the comments, God is healing my heart. And if you know someone silently struggling, share this message with them, because many people are fighting battles behind smiles. My child, do not rush your healing. Flowers do not bloom by force, and hearts do not heal by pressure. Give yourself grace, give yourself patience, and give me room to work. Because I am not finished, I am still restoring, I am still rebuilding, I am still carrying you. And while people may have walked away from your story, I never stepped out of it. My child, there is something happening inside you that you may not fully understand yet. You think you are merely surviving heartbreak. You think you are only recovering from disappointment. But beneath the pain, something deeper is taking place. I am rebuilding you, not into a colder person, not into someone hardened by betrayal, but into someone wiser, stronger, and more anchored in me than ever before. And I know this rebuilding feels uncomfortable, because transformation often does. You are standing between who you were and who you are becoming. And in this space, emotions can feel confusing. Part of you wants to trust again. Part of you fears trusting again. Part of you wants to move forward. Part of you keeps looking behind. Do not condemn yourself for this struggle. Healing is rarely a straight path. Some days you feel strong. Some days memories feel heavy again. Some days peace fills your heart. Some days sadness returns unexpectedly. And when that happens, do not believe you have failed. Progress is not destroyed by difficult moments. You are still healing, you are still growing, you are still moving. My child, you have spent too much energy trying to understand people who hurt you. You replay motives, you analyze words, you search for explanations. You want answers that will make the pain easier to carry. But hear me carefully. Closure does not always arrive through explanation. Sometimes closure arrives through acceptance. Because not everyone will explain themselves, not everyone will apologize, not everyone will acknowledge the damage they caused. And if your peace depends upon their understanding, you place your healing in hands that may never hold it carefully. I do not want your freedom dependent upon somebody else's maturity. That is why I am teaching you a deeper kind of peace. A peace that survives unanswered questions, a peace that survives unfinished conversations, a peace that survives missing information. Because peace rooted in me is stronger than clarity rooted in people. My child, I know you wanted things to end differently. You imagined different outcomes. You prayed different prayers. You hoped certain relationships would heal. You believed certain people would change. And when reality unfolded differently, disappointment entered your heart. That disappointment became heavy because expectations were heavy. And I understand that. Hope is not weakness. Love is not weakness. Believing in people is not weakness. Do not punish yourself for having a good heart. Do not become ashamed of your capacity to care. The pain came not because you loved wrongly. The pain came because love met limitation. Human love has limits. Human promises have limits. Human understanding has limits. But my love does not fail under those limits. And perhaps through this heartbreak, you are learning to place expectations where they belong, not upon fragile humanity alone, but upon me first. My child, you have carried guilt that does not belong to you. You blame yourself for outcomes you could not control. You wonder whether being different would have changed everything. You imagine alternate versions of the past. If only I said this. If only I did that. If only I tried harder. And I need you to stop. You cannot rewrite history through self-punishment. You cannot heal through endless regret. There is a difference between learning and condemning yourself. Learning brings wisdom. Self-condemnation brings chains. And I did not create you to live chained to yesterday. Release the guilt. Release the imaginary conversations. Release the pressure to repair what no longer rests in your hands. Some burdens were never assigned to you, and you have been carrying responsibilities that belong to other people. Their choices were theirs. Their decisions were theirs. Their healing was theirs. You are responsible for your heart, not for controlling every outcome around you. My child, I know there were moments when rejection changed the way you saw yourself. And that grieves me, because you started questioning beauty I placed inside you. You started doubting value I never removed. You looked at yourself through wounded eyes instead of my eyes. And wounds distort vision. Pain becomes a filter. Through that filter, you began believing lies. Perhaps you believed, I am too much. I am not enough. I am difficult to love. I always get left behind, but those are not my words, and you must learn the difference between wounded thoughts and divine truth. Because not every thought deserves agreement, not every emotion deserves authority, and not every fear deserves belief. My truth remains steady even when emotions fluctuate. You are loved, you are chosen, you are valuable, you are seen, and no experience can cancel what I declared over you. My child, you keep waiting for confidence to magically return. But confidence often grows quietly, not through perfection, not through applause, but through healing. Confidence returns when you stop abandoning yourself. Confidence returns when you stop shrinking for acceptance. Confidence returns when you stop apologizing for existing. And confidence rooted in me is different from pride. Pride says, I need nobody. But healthy confidence says, I know whose I am. That identity matters. Because when identity is secure, rejection loses power. When identity is secure, criticism does not destroy you. When identity is secure, abandonment no longer defines your worth. And that is where I am leading you. Toward holy confidence, toward emotional freedom, toward peace that is no longer hostage to human approval. My child, I know some of you listening have become afraid of love itself, not only romantic love, but connection, vulnerability, trust. You tell yourself you are protecting your heart, but secretly you are protecting your wounds, and there is a difference. Guarding wisdom is healthy. Living emotionally imprisoned is not. I never asked you to become unreachable. I never asked you to close your heart permanently. I asked you to let me guide it. Because walls may keep pain out, but they also keep healing out. And I want more for you than survival. I want wholeness. I want freedom. I want peace that does not require emotional isolation. But first, healing must happen. And that healing begins with trust. Not trust in people first. Trust in me. Trust that I know what I am doing. Trust that lost chapters are not lost lives. Trust that painful endings are not permanent defeat. Trust that my timing still carries wisdom. Trust that I am protecting things you cannot yet see. My child, I know waiting feels difficult, especially when loneliness visits, especially when silence stretches longer than expected, especially when prayers seem unanswered. You wonder, God, how long? And I hear that question. But do not mistake delay for neglect. There are things developing beneath the surface. Roots grow before fruit appears. Preparation often happens invisibly. And while you feel forgotten, heaven is still moving. I am arranging, I am aligning, I am protecting, I am preparing. What you call waiting, I often call preparation. Because I care not only about what I give you, I care about who you become while receiving it. And some blessings require healed hands. Some doors require wiser hearts. Some relationships require restored identity. So do not despise this season. I know it feels slow, but slowness is not absence, and silence is not abandonment. I am still here. My child, There is a reason I keep reminding you of my presence. Because fear loses strength when you become aware of me. Fear grows loud when you feel alone. Fear grows loud when circumstances speak louder than faith. Fear grows loud when memories control your expectations. But my presence interrupts fear. And today I am interrupting fear again. Fear says you will always be alone, but I say, Nightures, you are accompanied. Fear says you will never recover, but I say, Nightures, Teen Jose healing is already unfolding. Fear says you lost too much, but I say, nothing surrendered into my hands is wasted. Do not crown fear with authority I never gave it. Fear does not determine your future. Pain does not determine your destiny, and your past does not possess final authority over your story. I do. My child, I know you compare yourself sometimes. You see people surrounded by companionship while you battle loneliness. You see others seemingly moving forward while you feel delayed, and comparison quietly wounds your spirit. Because comparison creates false conclusions. You begin assuming everyone else is blessed while you are forgotten. But comparison only sees surfaces. You do not know their private battles, and they do not know yours. Do not measure my faithfulness through somebody else's timeline. I work uniquely, personally, intentionally, and your season is not evidence of neglect, it is evidence of process. Trust the process even when you do not understand it, because I see what you cannot yet see. My child, there is another reason certain people left, and I say this gently. You outgrew places where your spirit could no longer breathe. Growth creates separation, not because you became superior, but because you became different. Your values shifted. Your priorities shifted, your hunger for peace increased, your desire for purpose deepened. And not every relationship survives transformation. That realization hurts, but it also liberates. Because now you can stop forcing what no longer fits. You can stop mourning what became misaligned. You can stop exhausting yourself trying to revive what I am not reviving. And instead, you can trust me, trust where I lead, trust what I remove, trust what I protect, trust what I restore. My child, I need you to hear this next part carefully. Do not let bitterness take root. Pain is understandable, bitterness is dangerous. Because bitterness promises protection, but slowly poisons peace. Bitterness keeps wounds alive. Bitterness keeps you emotionally connected to what hurt you. And I want freedom for your heart, not chains. Forgiveness does not mean pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness does not mean inviting harmful patterns back into your life. Forgiveness means releasing judgment into my hands. It means refusing to carry poison inside your spirit. And I know forgiveness is hard, sometimes incredibly hard. But I will help you. You do not have to force healing alone. You do not have to manufacture grace alone. Invite me into that struggle, and together we will loosen the grip pain still holds. Before we continue, if these words are touching your heart, write this in the comments: Cease, God is rebuilding me. Your sir kanaying weon drindesameza gidis Noah. God is rebuilding me. And if this message is encouraging you, like this video and subscribe, because there are many hearts waiting for hope. My child, you thought losing them meant losing everything. But hear me carefully. You did not lose your purpose. You did not lose your future. You did not lose my hand. And because you still have me, your story is still filled with possibility. The chapter hurt, but the book is not over, and I am still writing. My child, your child Daisism, I know there are days when faith feels easy, and there are days when faith feels like lifting mountains with trembling hands. Some mornings you wake with hope. Some mornings you wake carrying heaviness you cannot explain. And when those difficult days come, you begin questioning yourself. You wonder if your faith is weak. You wonder if I am disappointed in you. You wonder whether struggling means you are failing spiritually. But hear me carefully. Faith is not the absence of struggle. Faith is trusting me while struggle still exists. Do not condemn yourself for being human. Do not shame yourself for having emotions. Even strong hearts grow tired. Even courageous souls need comfort. And needing comfort does not make you weak. It makes you loved. My child, you have spent so much of your life trying to be strong for everyone else. You carried responsibilities, you carried expectations, you carried emotional burdens that people never even thanked you for carrying. You became the helper, the encourager, the listener, the one people leaned upon. And perhaps you became so accustomed to supporting others that you forgot what it feels like to be supported yourself. You learned how to pour, but not how to receive. You learned how to comfort, but not how to rest. And eventually, constant pouring without renewal leaves the soul exhausted. That exhaustion is real. I see it. You are not merely tired physically, you are tired emotionally, tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of carrying invisible weight. And today I speak gently to your weary spirit. You do not have to earn rest. You do not have to prove your exhaustion. Come to me exactly as you are, not polished, not pretending, not performing, just honest. Because I do not love the version of you that acts strong. I love you, the real you, the one who still cries, the one who still wonders, the one who still hopes while feeling afraid. My child, some of you have quietly believed a painful lie. You believed being left behind means you are somehow less valuable. And that lie has followed you for years. Maybe it started long ago. Maybe rejection entered your life early. Maybe you experienced abandonment before you even understood what it meant. And because pain repeated itself, your heart formed conclusions. You began expecting loss. You began assuming relationships were temporary. You began preparing yourself for disappointment before love even had a chance to grow. And while you may not say these fears aloud, they still whisper inside you. They whisper, people always leave. I cannot trust anyone. I am safer alone. But my child, trauma may explain your fears. It does not have to define your future. Pain may explain your walls. It does not have to become your identity. Because what hurt you does not own you. And what happened to you is not the final truth about you. I am. My voice remains greater than your wounds. My truth remains greater than your history. My love remains greater than your fear. My child, I know there are names you still struggle to release, faces that still cross your mind, conversations you replay, and perhaps you feel guilty because part of your heart still misses what is gone. Do not condemn yourself. Healing does not happen through emotional denial. You do not dishonor me by admitting grief. You honor me through honesty. And honesty says, God, this still hurts. Honesty says, I am trying, but I still struggle. Honesty says, no niking, I want healing, but part of me still mourns. That honesty is not weakness, it is surrender. And surrender opens the door for restoration. Because healing begins where pretending ends. My child, I want to tell you something important about grief. Grief is not always about death. Sometimes grief is about disappointment. Sometimes grief is about dreams that never happened. Sometimes grief is about relationships that changed. Sometimes grief is about watching people become strangers. And this grief is real. You are not dramatic. You are not foolish. You are grieving, and grieving hearts require compassion. That compassion begins with me. But I also want you to show compassion toward yourself. Stop attacking yourself for healing slowly. Stop criticizing yourself for still feeling pain. Stop comparing your recovery to other people. Every heart heals differently. Every story heals differently. And I am patient with your process. So be patient with yourself too. My child, there were moments when you interpreted silence as rejection. You prayed and heard no immediate answer. You waited and saw no immediate change. And disappointment whispered, God must be distant. But silence and absence are not the same. A teacher may be silent during a test. A gardener works beneath the soil before fruit appears, and I often move invisibly before I move visibly. Do not assume nothing is happening. Much is happening. Healing is happening. Preparation is happening. Protection is happening. And although your eyes cannot yet see the full picture, my hands have never stopped moving. You think I forgot. But I remember every prayer. You think I delayed because I do not care, but often I delay because I care deeply. Because not every open door is a blessing. Not every opportunity is safe. Not every return is healthy. And sometimes my love protects you through delay.